Good evening and welcome to Connect to Escape. My name's Kera Sterling and tonight we're going to be discussing the journey of doubt. We all have moments of doubt and uncertainty, but why do we experience these feelings and how do we begin to move past them? Can doubt have a positive impact on our lives? This is what we're going to be discussing tonight on Connect to Escape. Joining me this evening, we have Andrew Leyland, who is the Director of English at Newbold College. We have Patrick Johnson, who is currently a doctoral student at King's College, Sophia Peart, who is a student of theology, and John Allore, who is currently the recruitment officer at Newbold College. We went out to the public and we asked them whether or not they thought doubt could be positive. Let's take a look at what they said.
Do you think doubt can ever be positive?
Yes, I think doubt is necessary. It's always positive. If you have a certain belief and you don't doubt it, it might be a weak one, it might be a wrong one. It's only through doubting your belief that you sharpen it and you actually decide to either abandon it or embrace it stronger, I guess.
I mean, without doubt, we would not question certain things that we do. Simple things, daily life, in science, in politics. If we would be always sure that what we do is what is good and should never be questioned, then we wouldn't have moved on with life. So I think doubt is a very good thing, but it can be also very destructive to personal life, to society. So a good balance is needed.
I definitely think so, because it is imperative. It's actually something that we teach at our school, a school that I'm part of, Matheson Mission School, to be thinkers and not mere reflectors of other men's thoughts. And so we actually have a slogan at Matheson, and it's called "Come and Think." I can actually show it you here. Can you see it? Yeah. See it? So it's actually something that we encourage our students, that they think and that they, and of course, asking difficult questions also is related to doubt. So in that sense, it's good. It needs to be a disclaimer to that. It needs to be constructive doubt and able to think and finding the truth.
Because you can use it for something positive. Like someone can make you doubt something about yourself, and you can use it as a positive by changing.
But doubt has to lead somewhere. If you just enjoy doubting. One of the Lithuanian philosophers said, one zip of philosophy will lead you astray from God. But if you will drink it fully, it will lead you back to God. So I think the doubt helps to strengthen your faith. But if you go on in doubt, then it will lead nowhere.
Not being sure about what the right thing is to do and then thinking about it and then coming to a conclusion.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it can be positive.
Yeah.
If you doubt something, it could be a positive thing.
I think you should always have doubts in your life, because that makes you think of solutions and way to come over problems.
Well, yeah, I suppose it could be in a way. Okay. If you're looking at someone who you're not sure about and you doubt and you want to check, and so yeah, I suppose it could be positive.
Sometimes it depends on the decision you've got to make.
Okay.
If you, I don't know, I think it helps you make a decision sometimes.
Doubt.
So if you've got doubt in something, you've got more of a balanced opinion on the decision you've got to make, I suppose.
Yeah, because it makes you think more and question where you are. Yeah.
So once again, we've had a variety of responses, and they're all quite philosophical and a little bit deep. So let's just get back to the core of the question. why do people doubt in the first place? John, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think it goes back to what your definition of doubt is. And personally, I think that doubt is a questioning, a lack of surety when it comes to a topic or an idea or a person or a process. And so as humans, we like to know certain things, and by knowing, we can be comfortable. And so people tend to doubt, in my opinion, because you can never know everything. And so there's always going to be a level of not knowing, and so that breeds doubt. It's almost so simple, but it's a lack of knowing. So I think when people don't know, that's doubt.
I think that's correct, because I think doubt could be positive, going on from the question, in that it can counteract arrogance, being so sure of yourself and you know everything that's correct. It's good with a little bit of self-doubt now and again, just to bring us back down to earth, because you don't know everything. And so I think in that sense it can be a positive thing, actually. Yeah.
But can't doubt chip at your self-esteem?
I think definitely. But at the same time, I think it could build up your self-esteem, because, once you admit that you don't know everything and you use your doubt or your lack of knowing to investigate why, something is happening, or why you feel a certain way, or what is behind different processes of life, you then become sure about those things, because your research will bring facts, and those facts will then become things that inform why you do what you do. And so for me, when I doubt something about myself and I dive in and I try to investigate what that is, it actually makes me more, it actually boosts my self-esteem, because I can defend why I do something. I can tell you point blank, the reason behind it, and I don't have to doubt anymore, because I've already had my time to be unsure, and now I'm sure, and I can move forward. So it can chip away if you don't go the extra step of investigation.
In other words, the end result of good doubt, if there's such a thing, would be more understanding of yourself and a greater surety of where you're at. Which I think is a positive kind of a process to go through, isn't it?
It's almost as if the doubt is the driving force to a greater, in your case, confidence. So it's used, as you said, in a positive way. But I do think there are also negative aspects of doubt as well, which I think we may explore a little bit later. But doubt definitely is something that can bring more confidence to a person when they're actually seeking for some answers to questions.
I think at times it makes us better people as well. After we've gone through a period of doubt, we're able to be, if we've never doubted before and other people are doubting, we can come to them and try to correct them or help them too quickly. But if we've been through that process ourselves, we can allow others to go through, and maybe it makes us less judgmental towards other people as well.
But something that interests me, though, is that with doubt, it's very rarely that I doubt something and it ends at that one thing. Doubt tends to, for me, to spread. So, if I'm not sure about a certain product that I buy, for example, maybe I buy a certain type of bread and somebody mentions something about something is wrong with it. Well, I start to doubt something else that I may have bought at the same time. It kind of builds on each other and it kind of spreads. And I think that spread is, once again, when you don't focus on that, or you don't take the time to look inside and look into what's behind it, And with the self-esteem part, I think it chips away the most at our self-esteem, because if somebody says, hey, you're not a good speaker, and then I wonder, am I? And what else am I not good at? Am I not confident? Maybe my English isn't too good. Maybe, you know, and it just builds and builds and builds, whereas I could just simply say, what do you mean by that? You know, what? Clarification, there you go. And oftentimes we don't take the time to clarify. We take one thing and we create this palace on top of it, and it becomes such a monstrosity that we can't look past it, we can't see behind it. And you become self-conscious when who knows what that person actually meant. If you'd asked, it would have been cleared up right away.
I think that's so true, because doubting can actually hinder us from actually moving forward into another phase in our lives. Can be such an hindrance.
So as we discussed so far, you know, doubt definitely has its positive aspects, but we have to be careful also, because there are some certain negatives, and we're going to explore this more. But before we do, I hope you enjoy good music, because we're about to hear something from Paul Lee.
How long does Christ have to go? How long does Christ have to go? Can't you hear him say, now is the time? How long does he have to go? How long does Christ have to wait? How long does Christ have to wait? He stands with arms stretched open wide. How long does he have to wait? He's waiting, waiting for you. Don't turn him away. Can't you feel his Holy Spirit wanting to mend your broken heart? How long does Christ have to wait on you? How long does Christ have to wait on you? Don't you know he cares for you? How long does he have to wait? He's waiting, waiting for you. Don't turn him away, him away. Can't you feel his Holy Spirit wanting to mend your broken heart, broken heart? How long does Christ have to call for you to come? How long does Christ have to call? Can't you hear him say, now is the time? Time is winding up. How long does he have to go?
Didn't you enjoy that? See, I told you it was going to be good. We're going to continue on with our discussion about doubt. And we have Patrick here today. Patrick is also a pastor of theology. So, Patrick, could you share your story with us? Tell us a little more about when you've experienced doubt in your life.
Yeah, sure. I'd been a pastor for about 6 or 7 years. And I remember it quite well because I went through a period where, I doubted God's existence. I think a number of things converged at the same time. So we had our oldest child. He got diagnosed with a certain disease which he's still struggling with, and you have to come to terms with that. We were living in Norway at the time, and also I was hearing some bad news from my family back in England as well, with some of the struggles they were having as well. And also things weren't going well in the church, one of the churches I was looking after. I remember they had been praying with faith that we would be getting more people coming to the church. They hoped maybe we could get 20 new people come, because that's a big thing for people in a church. And after the end of that year, instead of 20 people coming, 20 people actually left the church. So I started to doubt very much whether I should actually be a pastor at all, whether I should be carrying on with all of these things. Things just seemed to be going so wrong. And when you start doubting yourself, I think one of you said it earlier, so many other things start happening too, and you start to doubt much more than that. And I remember going through a period thinking, what if God actually doesn't exist? Strange thing for a pastor to start thinking, but I started to think, well, what if he really isn't real? And if all I'm doing is just wasting my time? I could have continued down into what I would have called some kind of depression if I kept going that way. But what that did to me was it prompted me to start to look for, why do you actually believe that God exists? Well, what possible grounds do I have for believing in a God? And I started to search again, as if I was new to the Christian faith. Well, I need to find some answers about this. I wasn't telling anybody else any of this. This was my own personal struggle. And started to search, read a whole heap, looked at what different philosophers said, both for and against the existence of God. And it took quite a while. It took several months of this process of searching and reading and reflecting and thinking about all of the things that I've been reading. And the end result really was the fact that I ended up believing more in God than before. It was as if it helped confirm whatever faith I had beforehand. It was reconfirmed, which was really it was a tough process to go through, but in the end it was something very positive. And that wasn't the only time I've ever doubted. All the years that I've been working and being a minister of a church, the same question comes creeping back in again, and I go through the process again, but now it's shorter because I think the answers are more readily at hand. And each time I go through this process, I find that it actually is more faith affirming to get hold of the doubt and to look it in the eye and think, okay, what if there really isn't? What if evolution is right, or whatever else it is that I'm struggling with? And truly look at it. And each time I do that, I come out a little bit stronger in my faith than I was when I first started it. So that was my experience, and I think ongoing experience with the whole question of doubt.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing with us, Patrick. And I guess this leads into my next question for all of you. Do people avoid searching for answers to their doubt so that they can stay within their comfort zone? Sophia, I'm going to send this one over to you. What do you think?
I think some people do. maybe because they don't know where to find the answers. In Patrick's case, he went searching for those answers because he was at that stage where he really needed to find those answers. And I guess for some people, when it comes to doubts, they don't know where to find the answers. So they'll be stuck in that place, and those doubts, as we've discussed before, can actually increase, and it can actually hinder a person, and they can actually then fall into a depression. If they haven't got anyone around them who they can actually share those doubts with, it can actually compound the issue even further, I think. Yeah, I think it can do that.
I think there's a level of comfort associated with not knowing. I think back to my childhood when I would go to my father and I would ask him, Dad, why do crickets make noises at night? And my father would always answer with, there's the encyclopedia. Find out, write a 2-page paper on it. It's due on Friday. And he was serious. If I did not write this paper, there was going to be a consequence associated with it. And it got to a point where some things I stopped asking because I didn't want to have to look for the answer. And I found that sometimes in my life, I'm comfortable not knowing because I'm then not responsible for the answer. I can relax in my ignorance, you know, because how can I be held accountable for something that I don't know? But that step to explore my doubt now hands me another thing to be responsible for, where even if somebody else is going through something, a challenging situation, I have a responsibility to share with them how I came through it or what I've found to help. And sometimes I don't want that responsibility. You know, sometimes it's work and more work.
And clear boundaries as well are comforting. You know, when you know where your boundaries lie, it's a kind of protection, and it's reaffirming to know, okay, these are where the boundaries lie. If somebody comes and starts to question that and say, well, maybe it's not meant to be like that. What if it's like this? Suddenly, our world starts to shake, and that isn't an uncomfortable place to be in. So I can understand the question is quite pertinent. Yeah, I think some people will avoid going to that place where the boundaries are pushed somewhat because it's uncomfortable, and we dislike discomfort. So yeah,
I think as well it depends how you've built. I know for myself personally, I've built up my faith and my belief sort of brick by brick and built it very high and was very sure of it. But the moment somebody questioned it, like you said, or tried to cause me to doubt or consider, the whole building blocks could come crashing down very quickly. I've gone through a process of trying to build my life more balanced so that I can doubt. I can take a segment of my life out, whatever I'm doubting, but my whole structure will not fall apart. And I've got the strength to be challenged by that and to reflect and to think and then put that back and take another part out rather than building your whole life on one narrow thing that can come crashing down very quick.
I've never thought about that.
Neither have I. Go ahead. Well, I've never thought about that because in the instances where I've experienced doubt, it's affected my whole life. You know, if I doubt one thing, then it affects that element, that affects my Christianity and the way that I see Christ. It affects the way that I live my life. If I doubt that one thing, then it affects the whole. So I find it really interesting in how you've built the blocks there.
Just to give yourself a framework which is able to cope with, I mean, for me, with my Christian journey, if somebody challenges my idea on death or eternity or whatever that may be, that the rest of my Christian faith will not come crashing down, that I can examine it and put it back and take it and put it back. whereas before perhaps everything depended on the other, and you took one out, everything would
Is that
would fall
because
with
your foundations have been built, so to speak?
I think I went through a period of deconstruction and reconstruction in life, a process of reflection, and I think that comes as you live life, as you go through. But yeah, definitely deconstruction and reconstruction.
So as we're finding out, doubt can be positive in the sense that we can start to, get to the core of it and start to rebuild and build a new foundation on which to stand. And we're going to look into this deeper, but before we do, we've got another clip of music for you to enjoy. We have Israel Olore and Amber Hope Velbis. I hope you enjoy it.
I can't. No matter how hard I try, no matter how wide I spread my wings, no matter how high I fly, and it ain't as easy as ABC. Cause I got a 1, 2, 3 main enemies coming at me. They running at me and I wanna run away, running high. But I gotta stay, gotta learn to survive in this jungle of problems. And they go like I'm sinking and falling, kinda feeling like I'm going down, down, nothing to reach for, nowhere to turn. I'm looking for a detour in the darkness, trying to see light, in the dead end, trying to find life. Then it hits me. You're still small voice in my ear telling me how much you miss me, telling me, begging me to just let go. Lord, if I let you take control of my every move, would you do through me what no man can do? If I close my eyes, would you see me through? Oh, I'm letting go of me and I'm holding on till you make me fly like Superman. Make me a part of your super plan. I just want you to work through the man. It's all you, like you're the man. You're the man, I'm letting go. Won't feel left away. I free, I'm for you. Now you be a guy. I never thought that you could use a boy like me, or a guy like he, or a girl like she, or people like me. Cause people like we ain't normally the ones you will see being used by the creator. I'm a new creator. Lord, let me talk less and let you say more. The Savior gave me favor, now you're savoring my new flavor. And everywhere that I go, let them smell the blood like E54. I need you to take control, go high as I go low. And everywhere that I be, let them see you, let them not see me. Open up my mouth, Lord, speak through me. Cause like a Nintendo, Lord, I need you to take control of my every move and do through me what no man can do. If I close my eyes, would you see me through? Oh, I'm letting go of me and I'm holding on till you make me fly like Superman. Make me a part of your super plan. I just want you to work through the man. It's all you, like you're the man. You're the man, I'm letting go. Won't feel left away. I free, I'm for you. Now you be your guy. You know what to do. Yeah. Singing all to Jesus, I surrender all to Him. I freely give, and I will ever love and trust Him in His presence daily live. I surrender all. Oh, I surrender all. Oh, na na na, all to Thee, my blessed Savior. I surrender all. And if I let you take control of my every move, would you do through me what no man can do? If I close my eyes, would you see me through? me fly like Superman. Make me a part of your super plan. I just want you to work through me. It's all you like, you're the man. You're the man I'm letting go. Won't feel left away. I free, I'm for you. Now you be a guy. Oh, na na.
Weren't their voices just fantastic? Just so, so beautiful. We're going back to our conversation now about doubt. Andrew, I know that you've spent some time thinking about this, preparing some thoughts. If you could share them with us, please.
Yeah, sure. I've called it, thinking of it, the journey of doubt, because I think it is a journey, the whole process, as we've just talked about. And in a book I've read, which is called Two Minds, The Dilemma of Doubt and How to Resolve It. It's written by a theologian, and I just want to quote just from the book for a minute. It kind of sets up where I want to go. If ours is an examined faith, we should be unafraid to doubt. If doubt is eventually justified, we were believing what clearly was not worth believing. But if doubt is answered, then our faith has grown. It knows God more certainly, and it can enjoy God more deeply. So in other words, I think that no matter how strong our faith is, I think at some point for all of us, we will enter a period, as Patrick shared, of doubt. Whatever has triggered that, personal circumstances, we will enter a period of doubt, no matter how secure or strong our faith is. And I don't think it should be seen as a sign of weakness, but more a sign of strength, an opportunity to dig deeper, as Patrick has said in his story, to dig deeper and ultimately to get that better relationship with God. One of my favourite writers, C.S. Lewis, he lives just up the road, or lived, sorry, just up the road from where I work at Newbold. He's from Oxford. His books, he was a Christian apologist. He wrote some amazing stories, and one would think that he had faith all sort of sewn up and had no doubt. But the man went from doubt to faith, swung from the two. And during his time of doubt, it was the time he searched, and that's when his great works were written. And, I've been looking at other people to see, because sometimes you think, is it only me who doubts? We can go to our church, we can meet with our friends who share a similar faith, and sometimes I ask, is it just me who's doubting here? Everybody else seems to have it all under control. They understand everything. But I think if we get real, if we really are honest with each other, we're all going through a similar journey. And I just want to share some things with you, with some people who we all know, and their journey of doubt, because it's given me comfort in the times of my doubt. I was reading about Mother Teresa, the lady from Calcutta, who is known throughout the world for her service, selfless service to the poor, the sick. But some of her letters, which were published after her death, revealed there was a lot of times of doubt and suffering that she went through. The letter showed a different woman to the symbol of the woman of Christian love, which we always seem to see, or the media perhaps portrayed. And she frequently wrote about deep feelings of loneliness. She wrote about silence from God, not hearing from God. And she wrote about personal hypocrisy in the world and the doubts about her own faith. And I just quote from her. She wrote this in her diaries: "Darkness is such that I really do not see. Neither with my mind nor with my reason, the place of God in my soul is blank. There is no God in me. Where the pain of longing is so great, I just long and long and long for God. the torture and pain I can't explain. And she has asked people in these letters for prayer, saying, there's such a deep longing for God within me, and I'm just repulsed, and I'm empty. I have no faith, I have no love, and I have no zeal. Saving souls has no attraction to me. Heaven means nothing. Pray for me, please, that I keep smiling at him in spite of everything. I think it's hard words, but we can resonate, we can relate to that. Somebody who we thought was so sure in a faith was going through such despair at times. I read about Martin Luther as well, a man who we see as the reformer of faith, this strong man. But his doubt wasn't about the existence of God. His doubt was about himself, which is something I think we, as people, we all doubt ourselves sometimes. And that can be the most painful and hardest doubt to overcome. He felt that his own sinfulness, as he said, that he wasn't going to get it right with God. He wasn't going to make it to heaven. He said, I quote him, "For more than a week I was close to the gates of death and hell. I trembled in all my members. Christ in me was totally lost. I was shaken by desperation and separation from God." But this man eventually would find his faith again, but then go through this cycle. And I think it's, Luther's teachings were based on grace. And he finally, he got that and was able to work through his doubt. Charles Spurgeon, the great sermon, Desire of the Soul in Spiritual Darkness, talking that, as he says, "Oh, poor soul, I'm afraid you're not on the road at all, for you would have seen me in all your glory." A man troubled, but yet in his time of trouble, his faith increased, his relationship with God grew. He was able to reflect and to become a stronger person for it. John Calvin as well, he said, "Surely while we teach that faith ought to be certain and assured, we cannot imagine any certainty that is not tinged with doubt, or any assurance that is not assailed by some anxiety." So for me, this doubt journey that these people have been on, these people who literally changed the world and gave something to the world which was beyond the average human being, is a lot of it was fueled by their doubt, that this doubt made them who they were, questioned what they were here for, their purpose. And it wasn't just a one-off thing, it was something that happened on their life journey time and time again. Something, I don't know, Patrick, whether for them as well, they were able to have shorter periods of doubt, but it's definitely a period that they had gone through time and time again. We read through the stories in the Bible, and without going into those stories, we can look at stories from Moses, one of the most famous people from the Bible. Their life was one of doubt. The people God chose to do good, to do things, they doubted. Who am I, Moses said to God. He doubted himself, just like Spurgeon. I remember there's a guy in the Bible that it's hard to say his name, Habakkuk. There's different ways of saying him. He questioned to God after seeing what was going on in his life. He said, "God, I question you. What are you doing? I'm calling out to you," just like Mother Teresa. "I call out to you destruction. I see these things happening in the world. There is no justice, and you're just silent. There is nothing." And Habakkuk doubted God. Yet God's reply back was, "I will do something in your lifetime, but if I told you, you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe what I'm going to do." So sometimes we don't know what's coming. We do doubt, and maybe God doesn't reveal, or the answers aren't clear. But somehow I think through searching, we can find peace, we can find inner peace. And keep searching, even if the answers aren't presented to us. The famous novelist Anne Lamont, she wrote about her struggles with doubt in several of her novels. And she said here, she said, my coming to faith, when she found her faith, did not start with a leap, but a series of staggers from what seemed like going from one safe place to another safe place. And certainly for me, my journey has been one of staggering from one place to another. No giant leap. For some, maybe flashing lights, sudden change, sudden conviction, but certainly for me, it's been one of staggering from one safe place to another on this journey. And she said, I have a lot of faith. She said, I have a lot of faith, but I am also afraid a lot. We can have faith, but we can be afraid. And I have no real certainty about anything, she said. And I think for me that people say the opposite of faith is doubt. I'm not so sure about that. I'm not so sure that the opposite of faith is doubt. I think the opposite of faith is certainty. And I think that certainty misses the point entirely in Christianity, because faith includes noticing the mess. Having faith includes noticing the emptiness in life. Having faith is about recognizing and experiencing at times the discomfort, and then letting it be there, perhaps until light returns. So I think doubt in our faith journey is important. And I think we all go through it. And I think that as believers, as faith people, we need to be more open and honest about it. In our churches, in our schools, because it's something that if it's not addressed and we put it away, we talked about our comfort zones, it can eat away until we become so far gone that we can't ever maybe retrieve it possibly. So I think that faith, doubt, is about noticing the emptiness.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. And we're going to just continue into discussion. I know what we've been talking about so far, there's been links into, how doubt leads to faith, and we've been looking at a more spiritual aspect. But as well, if we were looking at it from the perspective of someone maybe who didn't have that knowledge, maybe does doubt suggest a lack of, doubt suggests a lack of trust. So why should people spend time investigating something or someone that they don't trust? Patrick, what's your take on this one?
Yeah, I think, it's part of the adventure to actually try to get to know somebody that you possibly don't trust right now, but you may find after you've done that this was a pretty cool person after all. And that discovery could be something really positive. If we were to think, well, I can't be bothered to use time on those kinds of people, you could miss out on a whole heap, I think. Just to use, for example, my own example, I'm grown up in a West Indian context, and we had certain preconceptions about white people, just to use the phrase. And if I had stayed within the confines of that, why should I bother to get to know white people at all? I wouldn't be married to the woman I'm married to today, because I'm married to a Norwegian. And that discovery was just quite illuminating, actually. And it's been a very positive thing as far as I'm concerned. So daring to step past those things, I think, can be a very positive thing for us.
And I'm so glad you said that, because I think for me personally, the concept of Jesus, or the concept of Christ, has to be approached in a certain way. I think that doubt can lead to mistrust, but it can also lead to trust. I may trust you as an individual, and then something that you do makes me doubt who you are. After I investigate that doubt, if it was accurate and what you did was actually wrong, I could lose trust in you. But if I investigate what I doubted about you and I find out that it's different, it's something actually good, it can build my trust in you. And I think that for me personally, what I've found is that in my relationship with Jesus and with Christ is that where I've doubted and I've investigated, he's come out accurate and positive. And it's allowed me to build my trust in him. There hasn't been a time where something that happened in my life or let me take a step back. There's been times in my life that things have caused me to doubt who the person of Jesus is or what it means to be a believer in him. But upon further investigation and my belief and my faith and my journey is confirmed, and it therefore makes me trust him and trust the idea more. So I think making sure that is defined well so that people don't feel wrong for doubting and automatically associating doubt with mistrust. I don't know if that makes sense.
It's true, because how often have we said to people, I'm sorry I ever doubted you, or I'm sorry that I didn't trust you. And yeah, same with you, Patrick. Sometimes our understanding of people, if we haven't got to know them, people I've come into contact with, first impressions when I've met that person, and the people who I trust the most in my life, the people who have become the closest to me, are perhaps not the people I would have put on the top of my list. But through getting to know people, I think you can trust more. We can trust more. It's all relational. Everything we look at is relational. And if we invest our time into that, we get more out of that. And trust is one part of that.
I think when it comes to a relationship as well, I think, well, do I want that person to continue to doubt me? There's an element where, do I want that person, initially yes, but do I want that person to continue to doubt me? I know in the Bible, when I read, I think it's around about James, where it talks about when you doubt, you're unsettled, you're unstable. You know, and I think about my relationship with God, and he's constantly reaffirming my faith and like, you know, stop doubting me. Just stand on my promise. Haven't I told you before? Just be confident in this. And I think about some of my relationships, my friendships. You know, my friends wouldn't want me to keep doubting them, because that means I'm losing confidence in them. They want me to be confident in their abilities, in our friendship, in our relationship, that it will stand the test of time. And so I think that doubt, where it can be positive, there's a negative side if we fuel it in our relationships.
I think the very person we look at as well, if we're talking about this doubting and Jesus as well, he went through a process where maybe he even doubted at one point. That when he came to the end of his earthly life, why have you left me, God? Doubted whether God was still with him. And it's a very real thing that every human being, I think, has got to go through at some point.
So just briefly, you know, how would you summarize doubt?
Embrace doubt. It will come to all of us. Journey through it, work with it. And I think at the end of the journey, we become stronger. We will become better for it in our relationship with other people, with God, and just wait for it to come round the corner again very soon, maybe, because it's always going to be there.
We're going to have some more special music by Ken Burton. I hope you can take the time just to reflect a little.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Many have misunderstood why I praise the way I do. So I'm here to explain. There's a lot to say, so let's get started.
He gave me my eyes I could see him. He gave me my ears to hear his voice, and my hands to raise, and my mouth to praise, and a heart to worship and rejoice. He gave me my mind so I could know him. He placed the words right on my tongue, and he gave to me all my energy as I glorify him with my song. I'm gonna worship with all of my being, and I'm gonna praise him with all of my soul. I'm not gonna give him second best. I'm gonna give to God my very all. See, I'm getting ready for his soon returning, where I will sing and shout the victory. So get out of my way and let me praise him. I'm gonna praise without hindrance, praise without apology. I love to watch the football game with the thousands of people in the crowd. When a goal is scored, there's a mighty roar as people lift their hands and shout out loud. So why should it be any different? And why should I give any less? When I'm praising him who saved my soul from sin, he deserves from me my very best. And I will worship with all of my being, and I'm gonna praise him with all of my soul. I refuse to give him less than my best. I'm going to give to God my very all. See, I'm getting ready for his soon returning, where I will sing and shout the victory. So get out of my way, just let me praise him. I'm gonna praise without hindrance, praise without apology. I'm gonna praise him. I'm gonna praise him. I'm gonna praise him. I'm gonna lift my hands and praise him. I'm gonna praise him with all my heart and soul. I'm gonna praise him. I'm gonna shout out my voice. I'm gonna praise him. Let all that is within me praise. I'm gonna praise him. I'm gonna lift my heart and worship and praise him and honor, adore him. I'm gonna praise him.
So tonight we've been discussing the journey of doubt, and it has been pretty deep and tough going, but it's been interesting, and I for one have learned a lot. I'd really like to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to come and share your thoughts and your opinions with us, and to also thank you at home for tuning in. I hope that it's been encouraging and that you can take something away with you. We're going to be back tomorrow at the same time, and we're going to be exploring the concept of hope. So please come back and join us again on Connect to Escape.